Question: are you struggling to be more productive whilst working from the comfort of your own home? In other words, do you find it often hard to concentrate and get actual work done because of distractions, or I don't know, because you don't feel like you have a proper workplace like you used to back at the office? If the answer is yes, or you simply want to maximize your productivity from working from home, then stick around and watch the rest of this video. Hey guys, it's Dasha and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't already know me, my name is Dasha, and on this channel you'll find a bunch of English learning resources, personal development content, and so much more. Working from home at times gets really bad rep and puts this image in people's heads of someone working on the couch in their pajamas, snacking on potato chips, and generally looking very unproductive. And I also recently read an article on the Daily Mail that really shocked me because it said, and I quote, "Bosses accuse work from home staff of skiving off and driving down productivity," which is absolute and utter nonsense. It's nonsense on stilts. I've been working from home for the past 7 months or so at a law firm of all places, and I can honestly say that it's been a blessing. I actually get a lot more things done and work a lot harder than when I did at the office. But I will be the first to admit that it did take some time for me to achieve this level of productivity that I now have. So let's start. Number one, set up a designated workplace. So the first thing I personally did, and what I really recommend you guys to do to maximize your productivity, is to set up or even carve out a designated workplace in your home. Basically your own little nest. You've probably heard this one before, and it might sound a little bit obvious, but I can't stress how important it is that you have your own workplace. And that's because having a designated workplace will, in one way or another, enhance your ability to focus on work. Think about it for a sec. If you were to sit down right now at this very moment on your bed to get some work done, would you really? You'll inevitably associate your bed with sleep and will probably not get much done. And not to mention, slouching on your bed all day will give you a really bad posture and destroy your back. Places like your bed and your couch should be reserved for relaxation. Your mind associates different environments with different things, and if they get muddled up, then it will mess up your sleep during the night and then your productivity during the day. Determine when you are the most productive in the day and build your schedule around that. Okay, we all know that everyone's different, and I bet we all have that one annoying, happy, chirpy colleague that gets up at 4 a.m., works out, and can't shut up about how they got 100 million things done before 8 a.m. Okay, it could be you. And then there are those people that are naturally more productive later on in the day or even at night. So we all more or less know when or what time of the day we're the most productive. But if you really want to nail down the precise time and hours when your productivity is through the roof so that you can maximize your time throughout your schedule, then follow this little experiment that was suggested by Chris Bailey in his book, The Productivity Project, Accomplishing More by Managing Your Time, Attention, and Energy. Basically, in the next week or several weeks, start recording your productivity levels against each hour of the day. In fact, the longer you track your productivity, the more accurate your results will be. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is draw a graph with an X and Y axis. In your X-axis, write down the hours of the day, say from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. depending on when you get up in the morning and when you go to bed. And in your Y-axis, write numbers from 0 to 10 so that you can score your productivity against the time of the day. And let's say you wake up at 7 a.m. and you feel sleepy, so you score yourself a 1. And let's say at 9 a.m. you're oozing with energy and you score yourself a 10, and then you just continue doing this throughout the day. After a week or so, however long you decide to conduct this little experiment, you will be able to determine the hours of the day when you're the most productive and have the most energy levels. The goal here is to be able to match your highest priority work to the most productive hours. That way, you can arrange your daily tasks by placing your most important, mind-consuming tasks in the periods where you're the most productive and your productivity is just through the roof, and the lesser important tasks during the period when you have very low energy levels and you're generally unproductive. Declutter your home and keep it that way. At the very least, keep the areas surrounding your workspace clutter-free. Personally, I'm a neat freak / clean freak and need my entire apartment clean at all times. I truly think that by keeping your surroundings tidy, you'll be able to focus more on the tasks that you're doing rather than the clutter itself. Clutter is just a distraction. You may not consciously think about it, although I totally do, but it will be sitting there at the back of your mind and most likely bothering you without you even knowing it. Interestingly enough, almost every single place I've worked at so far had a clear desk policy, which kind of makes sense. And hey, let me know in your comments below if you've ever heard of a clear desk policy and if that applies to your office. What I noticed through my experience is that the most successful people in the offices that I worked at had a squeaky clean, clutter-free desk. In fact, I used to have a manager that had a rule that she would only have one pen and a notebook on her table at all times. And let me tell you, this lady got shit done. Number 4, the Pomodoro technique. Break up work into 20 to 25 minute digestible chunks with small breaks. This is called the Pomodoro technique, which in Italian literally means the tomato technique. There are 3 big upsides to breaking up your work into short intervals. Number 1, you won't be overwhelmed by a mammoth-sized task. 2, whenever you can discontinue for a short period of time, it allows your mind to sort of rejuvenate so that when you come back to your 25-minute focus time, you'll actually find that you're more refreshed and productive. And 3, you basically decrease your chances of procrastinating and putting off a task. And speaking of procrastination, if you guys are enjoying this video, don't procrastinate any longer and just give it a thumbs up. And if you think this content is useful, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos. Now let's get back to business. There are 6 steps to the Pomodoro technique. Step number 1, decide on the task that needs to be done. Step number 2, set a 25-minute timer. Step number 3, work on the task. Step 4, take a break after the timer goes off. And each time you complete a task and take a break, that counts for 1 Pomodoro, that is 1 tomato. So if you have fewer than 4 pomodori, that is 4 tomatoes, take a short break of just 3 to 5 minutes and then go back to step 2. But after 4 tomatoes, 4 pomodori, follow step 6 and take a longer break of about 15 to 30 minutes and reset your Pomodoro count to 0 and then go back to step 1. For those of you that want to take a deeper dive into this time management method, check out the Pomodoro Technique ebook that I put in the description box below. Number 5, meal prep. Preparing your meals ahead of your working week or even just a couple of days in advance will not only save you a bunch of time, but also a lot of money. I'm not saying that you have to go crazy and weigh your food, count your macros, and spend a ton of money on containers on Amazon. Not at all. You just need to prepare a couple of meals in bulk and leave them in the fridge. If you come to think about it, by planning your meals ahead, you can really get a sense of how much money you're spending on food every month and then adjust your budget accordingly. Avoid distractions. Easier said than done. Trust me, I struggle with this on a daily basis. I basically have an attention span of a squirrel. Squirrel! In all seriousness though, distraction is a killer of productivity. But when you're working from home, you're basically faced with a whole new bunch of new distractions that you've never faced before at an office. And I'm not just talking about your smartphone. So how do you avoid distractions? Start by setting clear-cut boundaries if, for example, you're living with flatmates or with children, by letting them know that from this time to that time you will be out of reach and you'll be busy working. Next, if you work in an environment that is noisy, say you live right above a train station like I do, or you share an office space with someone exactly like I do, and as a result you're finding it very hard to concentrate, then you should definitely invest in noise cancelling headphones. They can be a lifesaver. I personally prefer listening to some kind of instrumental playlist because the sound of silence and my own thoughts kind of creeps me out. And as a bonus tip for those of you who get swamped in emails on a daily basis, set a specific time slot a day when you actually check and read your emails. So for example, only check your emails at say 11 a.m. and then at 2 p.m. and then at 5 p.m. and that's it. And the same goes for stuff like Teams and Slack. Because as new messages come in, I guarantee that you're going to want to check them. So just turn off your push notifications and your sounds on your computer and your phone, because all those little sounds and pop-ups may not seem like much of a distraction, but they are actually in a way taking away your focus for just a split second, and that's enough to break your focus as a whole. 7. Get your emails out of the way first thing in the morning. Imagine logging into your computer every morning and seeing tens of unread or even hundreds of unread emails. And then you get that almost sick feeling after you come back to work after a really long vacation because you suddenly feel the need to go through all those emails in one go. But then you put it off because, well, you find other things to do. And that is a big mistake. Because those emails will just pile up and you'll end up disorganized and being that person that never answers his or her emails. So here's a hack for you. Declutter your emails first thing in the morning, just like you would declutter your desk or your workspace. In other words, a decluttered inbox equals a decluttered mind. Think of it as a relatively brief but intense task to clear a big batch of emails. And you don't actually necessarily have to get your inbox down to 0, although of course that would be better, but you don't have to. And like I said before, resist checking your emails every couple of minutes and only read them at a specific time of the day. That way, you'll be able to focus on a specific task and be productive rather than being a scatterbrain and trying to multitask. And finally, don't overwork and burn out. While some old-fashioned / back-forward thinking employers think that working from home is equivalent to not working at all and basically slacking off, the truth is that actually people tend to overwork when they work from home. And this kind of makes sense if you come to think of it. You could literally roll out of bed and crack on with work as soon as you wake up because you don't have to commute. You don't even have to get dressed if you don't want to. Plus, we tend to get glued to our workspace and forget to take breaks because we don't have the daily chit-chat coffee with Carol from accounting. And that will absolutely, in the long run, kill your productivity because you will burn out. It's one thing to pull an all-nighter every once in a while, but it's a totally different thing if you do that on a daily basis for months on end. Bottom line, don't be afraid to just take a break and disconnect from work every once in a while. Pursue your hobbies or find a hobby. Start a YouTube channel. Learn to play an instrument. Literally anything but work. Learn how to chill, man. So there you have it, guys. You have all the tools that you need to work productively from home. If you found these tips useful, then let me know in your comments below and make sure to hit that like button. And if you want more personal development tips, then click on that subscribe button and I will see you in the next video.